it was paid by the British taxpayers. It was a scholarship, so I went on a fully paid scholarship. As I tell people that I didn't take part in the freedom struggle of 1947. In a way, this is my way of getting
Good.
something back from the British taxpayers.
Hello and welcome to Binge Buddies. In today's episode of Candid Conversation, we have the famous comedian Atul Khatri with us. Before we proceed, do not forget to subscribe to Binge Buddies. Welcome, Atul sir. Thank you so much for taking all the time. I'm really glad to have you with us finally.
Thank you, Saurabh. Thank you so much for this opportunity,
Oh,
and good to meet you again.
yes,
Uh,
yes. हाँ like हम February 2020 में मिले थे on stage and that's सीधा एक साल बाद. Okay. Uh, you've given, I'm very much aware that you've given a lot of interviews and especially last year during the whole lockdown. Uh, so we fairly have an idea about your journey, but just as a quick recap to the audiences who are watching this for the first time, you have been a CEO for 25 years of a corporate IT firm, then decided to dabble into comedy after winning CEO's Got Talent, and that too at the age of 43. I must say, the content you have put out, the created and put out on your social media handle, especially Instagram over the full lockdown, was masterclass. Especially taking up something which Rahul Subramaniam did and adding on to it, making a beautiful give and take was absolutely masterclass.
yes, thank you so much. Good, you have done some research on me already. So yes, just to recap, I was a CEO of a company at the age of 43, 44. I decided to dabble into comedy.
Yeah.
I just started as an open mic, and I just because in an IT job, I was getting burnt out a lot, as
Mhm.
you know, any IT job does.
Yeah.
So my wife said that you must have some more aspect to your life than just work, work, work.
Yeah.
So I just started dabbling into comedy because I was a big fan of comedy. I used to enjoy watching comedy. So I got into an open mic, and yeah, from there it all started. And I got the CEO's Talent Award in 2014. And yes, in the lockdown, I started this only positive news and did a lot of, because sitting at home,
Yes.
also collaborated with Rahul, and had so much fun. Thank you.
Absolutely. So, because we are based here in the UK, and in my research, I found out that you also have a bit of history with the UK. You
Yes,
won the prestigious Chevening Scholarship to study at the University of Manchester. Now, we
correct.
thought it might be a good start to our conversation.
Absolutely.
All right. Okay. So, first and foremost, what was the biggest difference when you spent a whole year here in the UK? What was that feeling like?
In fact, so first of all, I got this scholarship in 2001, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
And it was nice because, because I was already doing my work. I had children that time.
Mm-hmm.
So I left all them there and came back to studies, came back to, studies. So it's very difficult to come back to studies when you're being doing, you left it at one stage of your life. Like I did my engineering. After that, I didn't study, got straight into work.
Yeah.
And so it was very good. The program itself was very nice. They had selected 12 people from India to come and do this like a business administration course at the Manchester University,
Nice.
at the Manchester Business School.
Uh-huh.
And so it was very, very nice interacting with people, getting into books, getting I was getting a feel of the campus life,
Yeah. Yeah.
which I had, or rather, I would say the international campus life. Obviously,
Yeah.
I had a campus life in India when I did my engineering, but this is a very, very different experience staying alone from your family,
Yeah.
and getting back to books, getting back to studying, getting
Yeah.
back to projects.
Yeah.
I think that was very, very exciting, and I really enjoyed every moment of this 1 year which I did at Manchester.
Lovely. Lovely. I'm sure you must
And
have.
I'm sorry to add one more thing. The
Yeah.
best part, it was paid by the British taxpayers. It was a scholarship, so I went on a fully paid scholarship. As I tell people that I didn't take part in the freedom struggle of 1947. In a way, this is my way of getting
Good.
something back from the British taxpayers.
Okay. So I'm sure you had multiple experiences in that one long year. But if you have to compare these experiences, how different it is when you come for a year as a student compared to when you come as a tourist in this country.
So I think it is very different because see, first of all, I was staying in Manchester,
Mm-hmm.
which is so you when you stay there, you get to when you stay there for a long period of time for a 1 year. I was staying at the hostel most of the time only
Uh-huh.
at the Manchester Business School, and you become a part of the culture to a very large extent. You mingle with it. Like I remember going for my in fact. Manchester Business School is very close to Old Trafford, where the
Mhm.
Manchester United football,
Stadium.
the stadium is
Yeah.
there and the team is from there.
Yeah.
So I became very involved in it, and I came to know that in that trip how football in Manchester
Yeah.
is so close to the heart to the people.
Yeah.
Like I remember
Yeah.
like whenever there used to be a game on Friday or a Thursday or something,
Yeah.
and the entire area around used to go in a different kind of a frenzy.
Yeah.
And since afternoon people are singing songs, every as you know every football team has their own song,
Yeah. Yeah.
and there are booklets available where you can learn the songs of the
Yes.
team.
Yes.
It was just I mean that is one trip I really realized the importance of football. I got to watch a lovely football match also,
Oh wow.
Manchester United versus, I forget, the I think it was Tottenham Hotspurs. This was
All
long time, I
right.
don't know whether they're there
Yeah.
or there right now. And uh, and and that was a time when actually the league was not such a big thing in India.
You.
It
Uh-huh.
picked up later on.
Yes.
I'm,
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
talking about in 2000s. This is like 20 years back. It was not such a big thing. It was just picking up.
Yeah.
And So I watched a football match over there. So I think when you are staying there, you become a part of
That culture.
this. When you're a tourist, you're there just for 2 days, 3 days in every city. and and when we were there, fortunately our professors were very nice,
Mm-hmm.
and so every weekend we made it because see, one thing which I realized, okay, so 2 3 things which I realized in UK when I came there to study for the first time, how important weather is. Okay, like
Yes.
why people are so crazy that they watch the weather in the morning, because what they have to wear depends upon the weather, and the weather there is so precise. If they
Absolutely.
say at 3 o'clock it's going to rain, it's going to rain at 3 o'clock. you know
Absolutely.
and on that, as they say, on that one day you can experience the entire all your weather changes.
Yeah.
You'll see the sun, you'll suddenly see it snowing or hailstorms. You'll suddenly find it raining. And
Yeah.
so how important it is to carry the right kind of clothes depending upon the weather.
Yeah.
That was one thing. Secondly, what I realized there was how in the weekends people just switched off,
Correct.
and from Friday afternoon people were running around here there, going to some weekend destination.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so fortunately we also did some of those things thanks to the program.
Lovely.
And yeah, I also got a fairly good idea about the different kind of food available in the UK, where obviously Indian food is such a big part
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
Now I don't know if you know, Manchester has this very big it's called the curry mile. There's
Uh-huh.
1 mile near the university. There was this 1 mile stretch of just restaurants. So it's called the curry mile. So
Wow.
they're all both sides of the road. You'll just find Indian restaurants.
Okay.
Uh, Obviously, most of them run by Bangladeshis and Pakistanis, not really Indian, but yeah, Indian food. And but yes, it was very nice, and I really enjoyed the entire experience of staying there. I also got used to the horrible weather there. I, I remember I came there in, I think my course was in January, and it
Okay.
was so cold. It was so
And
dark. It was so I
gloomy.
would say, gloomy is the right word. It was so gloomy
Yeah.
that I don't know how people at 4 o'clock, the sun used to go off, and you wonder how people really, work there.
Yeah.
And then when you saw the same Manchester in June, July, when the sun
Oh,
was out, it suddenly
beautiful.
becomes everything becomes so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a trivia kind of thing that the British people nominated that butter chicken as their most favorite dish. And this is like official on record now. So, which is great. They are
Okay.
crazy about food. Weather, yes, it is perpetually raining. Like, you need to check weather in the morning. As you very correctly said, you need to decide whether you need an umbrella or you need an overcoat or you just should not step out of the house because it's going to rain like hell. So, yes, very much.
Correct.
Okay. One thing you appreciated about India in that one whole year when you were studying.
uh, about how people warm they are in India.
All
People
right.
in India are much more warmer. We are much more receptive. There, it's very transactional. That's what I felt.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
People are so busy. People are so rightfully they're so busy in doing their work, they don't have really time for anything else. They're so, or rather they're so involved within themselves.
Yeah.
They don't even like, actually, the saying that you don't know who are your neighbors is very relevant over there,
Yeah.
because I went to some friends and all, and I said, who's your neighbor? He's saying, we don't know. And in India all those things are so taken for granted.
True.
uh, we are so fortunate, we have help of family members, we have domestic help in India,
Yeah.
which is not over there. And that can actually, that is also sort of like, when we do shows in UK, for
Uh-huh.
example, when I've done shows in London, we have to see that we always do shows only on weekends,
Yes.
because the people there have to be free.
Right.
Over in India, what we can do is we can be working Monday to, like, we can be working at 8 o'clock, and 8 o'clock, 8:30, some friend will say, "Kya kar rahe hai? Let's go have a drink,"
Yeah.
and we'll say, "Chalo, chalo, let's go for a drink."
Yeah.
But over there, everything is planned. You have to call your friend one week in advance and say, "Hey, can we
Absolutely.
have a drink? Let me meet," because
Absolutely.
they have to plan. If they've got children, they have to arrange a babysitter.
Right.
So even in shows and all that, when we do shows in UK and the US,
Yeah.
it's all very planned. We have to see that there's not a very long weekend happening there, because if it's a long weekend, people will run away. You know.
Absolutely.
One
Absolutely.
other thing which we have seen in UK and Europe, whenever we do shows, that if supposing the weather becomes beautiful on that weekend,
Yeah.
people don't come for your shows because they
Yeah.
want to run out.
They want
They
to
want to go
go
to a park. They want to go
beach.
hiking. They want
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah.
They want to enjoy that. They want to savor that weather for the day. So
Right.
uh,
Right.
in India, it's very very different. That so you could see these things really. So I think, and I think
Absolutely.
after some time, even though UK you do get Indian food, you
Yeah.
do miss home food. Whatever
Yeah.
you said, and yeah,
Yes.
you
Uh,
meet, because there's a lot of emphasis on meat and
yeah.
on carbs and things like that. You have. So obviously, I'm talking about 2000 now. That obviously you get everything everywhere. So, but I'm talking about back in those days where I really missed the home food,
Yeah.
even though I thought I would never miss it because I love to eat out. But after some time, you do miss your home food. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, your taste buds start recalling that घर का खिचड़ी and घर का simple खाना also makes you feel like अरे यार वो बहुत अच्छा था. But
absolutely,
not great things have changed with when it comes to weather, when it comes to food. Yeah, options have increased, but the life and the culture is pretty much still similar 20 years
absolutely.
later when you visited. All right. One thing you miss about the UK the most after going back.
One thing which I miss about UK, especially about London, I love to walk. I'm a big walker.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, the last show which you had come for in January,
Yeah.
I think the show was on a Saturday or a Sunday, I forget.
Saturday, yeah.
I Sunday had one more show somewhere else in some other suburb of UK, of
Uh-huh.
London,
Uh-huh.
and Monday I had to come back to India. But actually, I stayed one more day
Mm-hmm.
because I had checked the weather and it was supposed to be a very good weather.
Yeah.
So that I told my wife I'll stay one more day in London and I want to walk in London. Okay.
Nice.
So I remember waking up at like 9:30, 10,
Yeah.
wearing my shoes, checking the weather. Unfortunately, the weather changed,
Oh.
so it had become very cold. But I got my overcoat,
Yeah.
and I think that particular day I must have walked within London. I started from my hotel at around 10:30, 11,
Uh-huh.
and walking, stopping in between. I would have walked close to 18, 20 kilometers that day. You
Wow.
know
Wow.
and I just love London. You can keep on walking there. It is so walker friendly, so walking
Absolutely.
friendly,
Absolutely.
and you can just sit somewhere, have a coffee somewhere, sit, have lunch somewhere.
Yeah.
So I just enjoyed that entire thing, and I think I walked right from, I don't know where I was staying. I forget the area now, but it was somewhere near Hyde Park. I
Mm-hmm.
walked all the way, right up to Trafalgar Square, and I just
Wow.
walked. I love to walk,
Wow.
and London is so beautiful to walk. I think so. That's what I miss because I'm a good walker. So it's unfortunately in India you can only walk in parks or on the beach.
Yeah.
The roadsides are very, there are no payments, or some the payments are occupied.
Yeah.
So that's what I miss most about UK, the
I
walking part.
can totally relate with you because
And the weather is such you can walk the entire day.
Yeah, I was just about to say, like when you say 18 kilometers, or even for that matter, a generic number 10 kilometers per se, you compare the 10 kilometers walking in London, city like London and city like Mumbai, it will make a huge difference. Like the weather, the traffic, people, the space, the kind of space you have around you makes a lot of
Absolutely.
difference. Here you can keep going on walking, a lot of cafes around, anything to take nice pauses and etc. You still don't
Right.
feel Oh, I'm exhausted after working so much. Whereas
You
back
can rock a
in
lot.
Mumbai, it is different, completely opposite, if I may say so. All right,
True.
coming and talking about your shows, you've done, I'm sure, hundreds. I do not have the exact number, sorry, but I'm sure you've done so many, including India, across the cities and abroad, like US, Canada, UK, a couple of European cities as well. Now, how does your set changed based on your audience, which is Indian audience, and audience which is abroad? What things you keep in mind?
Okay, so it all depends from city to city, to be very honest with you.
Okay.
Like for example, if you go to like if I perform in Europe,
Mm-hmm.
I was performing in Belgium.
All
I
right.
I performed in Antwerp.
All right.
Now, just to let you know, Antwerp, the crowd, it was around 200-300 people were there for the show.
Mm-hmm.
But most of them, I would say 80-90% of them were watching stand-up comedy for the first time. Okay.
Okay.
And
Okay.
they were slightly older crowd. So what happens is that, see what happens, even though they are staying over there, they don't go to watch local stand-up comedy
Stand.
scene.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Like even in UK, some of the Indian, like you young people must be going out to watch comedy shows,
Yeah.
but slightly the older people, they go to watch Indian movies,
Yeah.
they go to watch Bollywood shows. They never go to watch a comedy show happening in like a comedy store in London at Piccadilly Circus. They don't want to go and watch, English comedians or Brit comedians. They don't
Yeah.
relate to it. They don't enjoy it, even though I'm sure they understand it. Okay,
Correct.
so you have to be careful as a comedian that you don't scare them away with a lot of dark humor,
Yeah.
with lot of edgy humor,
Yeah.
or a lot of sex laced humor, because you don't want them to feel, oh my god, this is so, because you have to realize some of the Indians, even though they're staying abroad, they're fairly conservative.
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
you have to be careful about all this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I always make it a point where whichever show I go to, I always go early. I like to see my crowd.
Uh-huh.
I like to understand it. I may just hang around over there,
Mm-hmm.
and for example, like in if you go to any comedy club in Mumbai and perform, the audience is waiting for you to say dark jokes, to push
Uh-huh.
the envelope.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
in the London show where you were there, I remember. I mean that show, there were a lot of young people were there. People
Yeah.
from universities around and things like that. Also a lot of, so there you can say, you can, because you guys sit at home, you watch Netflix, you watch the comedians across the world. You
Correct.
consume so much content that you don't mind being challenged.
Yeah.
So you have to manage that very properly.
Okay.
And I think those are the things, and that goes for every comedian in every I would say show, that
Mm-hmm.
they have to see the audience, they have to see the pulse of the audience.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, like sometimes when we do private shows, the organizer will come and say, "Oh, Atul, go and say whatever, all sex jokes and all. It's all okay.
All
Say
right.
what you want. We are very liberal." But
Okay.
still, I don't trust him. I release some jokes in the initial stage,
Uh-huh.
and I see the reaction. If the crowd is really receptive to this,
Yeah.
then I'll go with that. But sometimes if you say it and you can see them clasping up,
You.
then you
Yeah.
pull back. You pull
Right.
back and you pull back.
Right.
So
But
you're constantly, when you're on stage, you're thinking about how to steer the next of the set
correct.
based on the response which you're getting.
Correct, correct. It's not limited to just writing good content and delivering it in a humorous way, but also to be very alert and think on the feet when certain situations change or based on the audience's reactions. So that's
Absolutely.
off to that.
Very, very important. Yeah.
There might be, you've done like so many shows, and there might be certain sets of your show which you may have thought of doing it same for an abroad audience, for an Indian audience. But do you think those particular jokes of that particular set land equally with respect to the audience response?
Oh yeah, especially, see. So again, what happens is, I do most of my comedy in English. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so I can do fully a English set, or I can do a English set.
Yeah.
So like for example, once I had performed in Seattle.
Uh-huh.
Okay, that was my first part of the US tour,
Okay.
and it was my first or second. So first show was in the Bay Area, so there were only Indians. And
Mm-hmm.
when there are only Indians in the audience, I'm telling you, the set is exactly same like you could be doing in Mumbai. You know,
Okay.
because thanks to WhatsApp and thanks to this, Indians everywhere in the world are totally tuned up as to what is happening in the country. In
True.
fact, some of them know more about what's happening in India than we sitting in India. Uh,
That
uh,
is also true.
yeah, like they are more cued on to politics or
Yeah.
to IPL, or
Yeah.
some of the things, or some Bollywood gossip, than
Yeah.
even we know, honestly. So
Lovely.
I remember when I did the Seattle show, I was backstage getting ready for the show, and the auditorium was such that I could not go and look at the audience, because for
Okay.
that I had to go out through the stage, and that would have been
Mhm.
difficult.
Yeah.
That would be sort of revealing the thing. So fortunately, my wife was there, and she messaged me, "Hey, there are a lot of white people in the audience today." Okay,
Okay. Okay.
and so backstage, then I started preparing for more of a more English set. You
Got
know
it. Got it.
so and when I went over there, rightfully, like the first, I think, front first row and two row, there are like 30, 40 Gora Americans sitting who had bought tickets to watch me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now it is not fair, and the rest of the room was Indian.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And so you do throw one or two Hindi words here
Yeah.
and there,
Yeah.
but every time you do that, you tell the Americans what the word was.
Yeah. Yeah. Just to have them like
Yeah, for
know what
example, if you say a bad word like BC, you tell them, hey, you don't want to know what this is. Okay.
nice. All right.
So you involve them in the show.
Yeah.
You don't make them feel alienated, because there have been some instances where some comedians who perform mainly in Hindi have gone on stage,
Mm-hmm.
and suddenly they see some Americans sitting over there.
Yeah.
Okay, and then they know that they have to do in Hindi because that's what they know.
Correct.
So what they do is, they before the show only, they tell somebody or tell those guys to take a refund and go, because unnecessarily they will get bored, and
Yeah.
what will happen, the rest of the room will be very uncomfortable.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Why are these Goras still sitting when they can't understand anything?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah. Is there a dream stage where you like that's your dream? Here you want to perform one day.
New York, Madison Square Garden, or London has the Royal Albert Hall, where I
Mm-hmm.
think Bill Burr had performed.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, one of my bucket list came true, that I was in 2018, 2018 or 2018 or 2019, I forget, 2019, sorry,
Okay.
2019, November, I got to perform at the Opera House in Sydney. I'd gone for
Wow.
a comedy festival, Just for Laughs festival, and one of my shows was
Beautiful.
in that venue.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was fortunate I could go and perform there. So it's more of a, because you have seen some of your stars performing at these locations,
Uh-huh.
so you feel nice that when you go and perform over there. In India, fortunately, uh, all the best auditoriums, somehow or the other, I have got to perform at a comedy show.
Mm-hmm.
Like in Mumbai, there is this very prestigious Shanmukananda Hall,
Mm-hmm.
or in Delhi, there is the City Fort Auditorium, or in Kolkata, there is the Kala Niketan,
Yeah.
Kala Mandir. Sorry, Kala Mandir is there in Calcutta. So these are very old, established auditoriums, where Pandit Ravi Shankar, Ustad Zakir Hussain,
Mm-hmm.
Lata Mangeshkar, and all these people have performed at those auditoriums. It's
Got it.
those kind of the
You,
prestige which is there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Beautiful. So far, and this is your personal favorite performance till date, where it was.
My most memorable
Yeah.
performances was when I won that CEO's Got Talent, when I had performed in 2014.
All right.
Now, the reason why it was so special is because, yeah, I was doing comedy from 2012,
Mm-hmm.
and my parents. So I was a CEO of a company. My dad obviously knew that I started doing this thing. But they didn't understand. They're fairly conservative, so they didn't understand what this comedy was,
Yeah.
where I was going, and what I was doing. So for 2 years, when I was doing this, they were not honestly very happy about it. You
Okay.
know, a son who's older, who's got children in his late 40s, is now starting some new profession.
Yeah.
They thought it's some Bollywood line, some acting. They were not understanding what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So 2014, after 2 years, when I was taking part in the CEO's Got Talent, that's the first time I took both my parents, and I said, "You please come for this show."
Nice.
And they came for the show. They were a little hesitant. I said, "No, no, you please come for the show."
Mm-hmm.
They sat in the auditorium. There were some 800-900 people in the auditorium, in the venue. Sorry, and in front of them, when I won the award
Mm-hmm.
of the CEO's Got Talent. And after the show, a lot of other people came and told them that, hey, your son is doing such a great job making people laugh. It's such a difficult profession.
Yeah.
Laughter is the best medicine. So that's, I think, after 2 years, I think I finally redeemed myself in front of their eyes.
All right. One piece of advice you would like to give an individual who is starting his career in comedy now.
So I always tell them that whenever you're comfortable, please get your parents for a show. Because as kids, we try to hide it from them. कि
Yeah.
आप नहीं समझोगे, you will
Yeah.
not understand it, why you want to come. And you sometimes feel your material is not good enough, in front of them. You will get embarrassed, or some other comedians performing there,
Yeah.
they may embarrass your parents.
Yeah.
So whenever you're comfortable, take your parents for a show. let them see how you are doing, how
Yeah.
people are laughing at your material,
Yeah.
and and then that's probably that day they will feel happy that you're doing something which is nice and maybe honorable, because you have to understand India is opening up. India has got getting a lot of these new professions, a lot of these new art forms
Yeah.
which didn't exist during parents' time.
Correct.
So you have to show it to them so that
Correct.
they agree to what you're doing, and
Yeah.
then I'm sure they will be supportive of your decision.
Lovely, lovely. That's a wonderful piece of advice. Now, growing up during your schooling and college days, I think I'm going back in 90s, but were comedy movies or certain series which were available had any influence on you with respect to that comic timing or that comedy genre as such?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. So right from a very early age, I was a huge fan of comedy, not stand-up comedy, but
Uh-huh.
comedy, because stand-up was not available in India. So
Yeah.
when stand-up came, like when I started seeing Johnny Lever, Raju Srivastava, and all these people, I'm a huge fan of all these people
Mm-hmm.
because I've heard them on audio cassettes. And
Wow.
but before that, I was a big fan of a comedy in terms of watching comedy movies like Bombay to Goa, Padosan,
Yeah.
so many Chupke Chupke. There's such these classic
Classics. Yeah,
Hindi
yeah, yeah.
comedy, where you can watch them again and again and again.
Yeah.
You know the punchlines, but you still want to watch them again. And I
Correct.
think that's the beauty of comedy. There, sometimes nowadays this has become this big thing that, oh, I've heard this joke, I don't want to hear it again. You
Uh-huh.
know, I don't believe in that. I can watch it. I can see like even in like some of the Hollywood movies like Airplane 1, 2, 3, Naked Gun
Uh-huh.
series,
Yeah.
Hot
Yeah.
Shots, so many of these, funny American movies which were there,
Yeah.
or Hollywood movies were there. Some of them are so brilliant and so funny.
Yeah.
I can watch them again and again and still laugh at the same punch
True.
and not get tired of it.
Great.
So yes, I was a huge fan of comedy as such. Stand-up comedy I only discovered slightly later on in my life.
Got it. Got it. Now, because you've seen a lot of comedy genre, as you have actually enjoyed it on television, in Hindi movies and English movies, and over the decades, you actually chose a profession, which is a stand-up comedy. I'm sure you still consume a lot of comedy content via series, movies, web series, etc. In your eyes, how do you think has comedy evolved over the years, over the decades?
I don't want to say whether it's evolved or no, but it has definitely changed.
Okay.
Uh, Back in the day, I'm talking about, and this is a thing where you could make jokes about anything
Yeah.
earlier in
True.
if you
True.
see some of the if you see some of the stand-up comedy specials, also some of the greats,
Yeah.
where they could say anything.
Yeah.
They could make fun of any person,
Yeah.
anything
Yeah.
based. But nowadays you have to be nowadays is a new thing of comedy. You have to be absolutely politically correct.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you will upset this faction or that faction or that faction.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, that is bloody ruined comedy.
Absolutely.
This in our penchant for being political. Come on, man, these are jokes. You can
Eh,
joke about anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what has happened is that people are pulling you down.
Mm-hmm.
People are looking at your entire material with a microscope and saying, oh, he said this, it
Uh,
may mean this, it may mean that, he has to apologize. And
uh,
this is not only happening to us, it is happening throughout the world.
yeah. Yeah.
Like if you hear a lot of the current the American comedians today, they also, that I think their biggest problem is that back in the day they could say anything. I mean, there was no intention of making people hurt, but you could
Mhm.
joke about anything.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. True.
nowadays, this also, but thanks to actually social media
Mm-hmm.
here, where people are, you say whatever you want,
Mm-hmm.
somebody will get offended. So I think you can say it's a beautiful sunny day in Bombay.
Yeah.
Somebody will get affected that, buddy, there are floods going on in West Bengal. How are you enjoying the sun?
Yeah. 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 That is the sad reality, unfortunately. Very, very well
Absolute,
mentioned.
absolutely. So people are, I'm telling you now, you make, sometimes you put up a joke somewhere and then people troll you for some stupid reason and you wonder like, where are these people born? I
Yeah.
mean, what are they thinking? Like, if I would be the parent, I would slap them. "Kya- What are you talking? What are you writing? You know.
Got it. Lovely. So that was our set of questions. We have a quick rapid fire. It's called 7 seconds with Mr. Atul Khatri.
Sure.
Your all-time favorite movie.
All-time favorite movie would be Bombay to Goa.
Nice. Your favorite TV series, English or Hindi?
I would say Game of Thrones.
Okay. Your favorite comedian, Indian and foreign.
Indian would be Veer Das for the
Mhm.
amount of hard work he puts in the craft,
Mhm.
and foreign I would say maybe Dave Chappelle.
Nice. What are you currently binging on?
I forget the name of the series, but it's a thing on Netflix where they are taking these old movies and saying the history behind it, like movies like Die
Ah,
Hard,
okay,
Pretty Woman. I think
okay.
movies that made us. It's called
Yeah,
movies
yeah.
that made us.
Nice, nice.
So it's taking these old classic movies and saying what went behind the scenes, how
Yeah,
they had problems in getting the actor, the shooting part of it. Yeah, so I'm seeing
nice.
that right
You
now.
enjoy that behind the scenes. Lovely. Even I do
Yeah,
that. Lovely.
yeah.
Who is your binge buddy?
I'm alone here. I don't like to binge with anybody else. So I've seen this new concept. Like even my children, they have this binge thing. This,
Yeah,
one friend is in London, my
yeah,
daughter's
yeah,
in India, and they sit and watch movies together.
yeah.
I can't. I watch like to watch it at my own pace and things like that. I've not. I mean, my wife is next to me, but she'll watch something else. I'll be watching something else. Yeah.
That's fair enough. That's absolutely honest. Okay. One thing you're scared of.
Cockroaches.
All right, that was great. One skill you learned during the lockdown.
I learned how to edit,
Aha.
which I didn't know earlier. So thanks to lockdown, because when I was doing this only positive news, I had to edit it.
Ah,
I couldn't send my files to any editor because I didn't know the
yeah,
editors and all were
yeah.
at that point. So I learned this skill on my own and on my mobile phone, not on my laptop.
Wow, wow, that's much difficult. All right. One thing, if you could eat for the rest of your life, what would that be?
I would say dal khichdi, yes.
Simple.
With ghee, with ghee.
Of
Yeah.
course, uske bina it's incomplete. Okay.
Yeah.
And one last thing is, when not working, what are you most likely to be doing?
Uh, I would prefer exercising, walking, or some kind of a
Some
sport.
form of. Well,
Yeah.
that's beautiful. You've been very, very honest and candid with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
When
Saurabh. Thank you so much.
when can we expect you to start your tours again? Is there anything in the pipeline?
I am expecting the world to open. I am expecting this corona to go away so that we can all start traveling, start
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
I was in the middle of a tour in the US when I had to come back.
Uh-huh.
Not middle, actually, I was starting the tour. So I mean, when I met you
Yeah. In London.
in London in Jan 2020,
Yeah.
and then March 2020, I went to America. I had a 20 city tour there, but it all got cancelled because
Of
of
course,
this
the pandemic.
corona. So I'm
Yeah.
as soon as this pandemic gets over, wanting to go back.
Fingers crossed to that. We definitely are looking forward to attend your next show, hopefully 2022 itself. And we wish you all the very best for all the projects you're working on at the moment.
Thank you so much, Saurabh. All the best to you. Wherever you are, stay safe and stay mentally positive. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. It was
Take
pleasure
care.
speaking with you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. I really hope you enjoyed this conversation. If you did, make sure to share this video with your friends and family. Also, do not forget to subscribe to Binge Buddies for more such candid conversations.